on plant-based milks today. We're going to specifically do an almond milk, oat milk, and a cashew milk. We'll jump into some of the steps to take before actually making this milk, especially the night before when it comes to soaking, how to choose a nut bag for this process, and typically these last 3 or 4 days in the refrigerator, so keeping that in mind, you can make a batch this size depending on what you'll need for the week. So we'll jump in and make some milks. Start with almonds. If you can soak these overnight, at least 8 hours, it'll really help. You can take the little skins off of the almonds as well. It'll help make this milk really creamy. Grab a blender, get your water ready. All those little naked almonds in there. Whoa, we lost one. It's all right, we'll put them back in. I like to use unsulfated coconut flakes. I find it really makes this milk a lot creamier. A little bit of maple syrup or honey. The sea salt will bring out some of those flavors as well. Blend that for about 2 minutes. Set up your nut bag in a bowl or a container where you can pour that in. It's important to have a nut milk bag that's really fine mesh. This really helps. A cheesecloth works as well, but it's a little bit difficult to get all of those pieces in, so I like to go with this fine mesh nut bag. You can store that in the refrigerator. We'll jump into oat and cashew milk. I like to soak my oats about a half an hour before I'm going to do the oat milk. And then for nuts like cashews, I like to do the same thing as almonds, about 8 hours, maybe the night before. Lost a few little cashews there. This really helps with oxalates. That water that it sits in is all of those released oxalates. It's nice to get those out of the system. A little fun nutritional fact. Oxalates are an anti-nutrient and they can really bind to some of the minerals that are in our guts, and it kind of prevents the body from absorbing those minerals, so it's nice to soak the nuts. And for the oats, just soaking them a little bit, you can see kind of that filmy water there. So we'll jump into grabbing our blender, throw in the cashews in, again with that unsulfated coconut flakes. This is important. When I'm going to add the soaked oats, I make sure to drain out that water. Talked a little bit about those oxalates. A Medjool date. Before adding it in, take that little pit out. You don't want that in there. Some sea salt. If your dates are already pitted, don't worry about that stuff. Blend it 2 or 3 minutes. Typically around 2.5 works for me. Again with that fine mesh nut bag. Making sure to have a bowl big enough to hold everything in. The oat milk is typically the creamiest out of all of these recipes, so I like to have that ready to go in the refrigerator. With the cashew milk, we're going to use a food processor. Those soaked cashews, they'll go in first. A little bit of that honey or maple syrup, whichever one you decide to use. I like to add just a bit of that cinnamon, a little extra flavor with the cashews. And when you blend it, go ahead and do this for about 30 seconds till it's a paste. Then you can start adding some of the water. Just play with it, blend it a little bit longer. You can kind of tell that it still is chunky, so go ahead and add a little bit more water. I want it to be evenly blended and creamy. It's a little trickier to get this part here done. As you can tell, the food processor is a little trickier. But either way, the bowl is big enough. The nut bag should carry all of the cashew residue there. Do the same thing, find a container to be able to store this in the refrigerator. If you're making a few of these, it's nice to be able to label them to know which milk you're working with. Now are you ready to use some of these milks to froth for your coffees, for your matchas? This has been my favorite frother. I'll link it down in the description box for you. I just really like that it warms up the milk for you and that it does the frothing for you as well. Get your coffee ready. And you're all set to enjoy your plant-based milks. I hope you enjoyed that video. Thanks for following along. If you have any questions about this recipe or if you want to make any substitutions, go ahead and feel free to do that. Again, this recipe lasts about 3 or 4 days in the refrigerator. It is perishable, so just keep that in mind. I hope you enjoyed your plant-based milks, and until the next time. It's about 3 or 4 days in the refrigerator. Baby, the refrigerator. Anita, do. Okay. 3, 2, 1.